This is Dom Genova, host of the No Nonsense Roundtable, heard every Saturday on Rochester, New York's 50,000-watt radio station, News Radio WHAM 1180. The show is about people you know and people you want to know about. After the show is aired, we make a YouTube out of it. If visuals add to the story, we add them. What you're about to see is one such YouTube with added pictures to help tell the story. Please like and share. We'll make more. And I'm here with a fan favorite, third time on the show, Mr. Don Alhart. Don, how are you?
Great to be back. Great to be back always, and enjoy our conversations and enjoy the reaction we get from a lot of the listeners. It's good to know that we are reaching so many people, not only on the radio, but through the podcast as well.
Yeah, and we're here for a particular reason today, aren't we?
Yeah. We brought with us our executive director of Rochester Rotary, Tracey Driesbach, and hope to focus a good portion of this hour on the real celebration of the 100th anniversary of our Rotary Sunshine Camp. It does so much for so many families in our community that we want to boast about it a little bit if we can.
Well, certainly, and since you do this for a living and you've been in the business so long, and I'm just a rank amateur, pretty much I'm going to hand this over to you. You know, I mean, you don't want somebody unqualified, driving the race car. You have to know how to drive a stick. No. So I'm not so sure I am qualified in your presence to do anything but hand this over to you and say, a suggestion is that I think a lot of people don't know about Rotary itself, how it got started, different clubs, what they do, membership and whatever. So I would like myself if you would kind of touch base with Rotary and the history and the thrust of the organization.
I should have memorized the four original members because I actually wrote a children's story years ago about the camp and named animals after each of them. Paul Harris, Sylvester is another one. But in the very beginning, Paul Harris, who was an attorney, grew up in New England and ended up in Chicago and was quite lonely in Chicago and reached out to other business people. And there were three other ones. One of them was a printer. One ran a coal business. And he said, why don't we get together? And not only can we enjoy each other's company, but we can enjoy each other's companies. If you need an attorney, I will be your lawyer. If I need something printed, I will go to you. If I need to heat my office, I will go to the guy that sells the coal. And so they patronized each other. It was, as I like to say, Rotary, the original social networking. And as a result, they got together once a week, met at each other's office on a rotating basis. And that was the name. That's where Rotary actually came from. Time wore on. And as they met, they said, we need to do more. We need to do something beyond ourselves. And so they really got into the business of being a service organization, and service above self became the motto that they wanted to live by. And as a result, now 1.2 million Rotarians around the world are meeting on a regular basis and practicing that motto of service above self and helping others in their community and other communities around the world.
And originally, it was a situation where you had one of each occupation in the Rotary, and it's changed a lot since then, right?
Yeah, it's changed a great deal. Originally, it was just men. When I joined in 1976, it was my father had to be a sponsor. I had to actually wait. You had one broadcaster that could join at a time. You had one insurance person, one car dealer, one lawyer. And so when that classification opened up, I was able to join. I've seen so much change in the organization over the years. I was president in 87 when Betty Pine, our distinguished Supreme Court justice, was admitted as the first woman Rotarian in our club and probably one of the first in the world. We have seen that grow beyond the thoughts of the original founders of Rotary, I'm sure. And we've seen Rotary stronger as a result of both men and women now being able to contribute to what we do.
So pretty much has gone from a thrust of a business association, more of a humanitarian now.
And I think that is, and for some people that's still there. Oh yeah, a Rotary, yeah, you guys get together, smoke cigars, and have a good old time. Well, no, we all get together, men and women now. Yeah, we socialize. We have some good, and I think we do have some good times. There's in honor of our Sunshine Camp this year, we've got a 100th anniversary beer. We've got
we sure do.
Another distillery. We
had Heroes Brewing, and we have Birdhouse Brewing. Did one off of our maple syrup that we make at Sunshine Camp. So we have a lot of people in the community jumping in, and we all get together to celebrate. Yeah. We like to eat, we like to drink, we like to have fun and socialize.
Distinguished business people, but we're party animals as well.
So you have the relationships that you're building with Rotary most naturally, but the things that you do for the community now is what percent is the Sunshine Camp of what you do as far as community service goes? Is that pretty much is that the main thrust of what you do? Is there anything beyond that we need to know?
It's hard to put a percentage on that.
I would say the majority of our focus is on the Sunshine Camp, and we service a lot of individuals with special needs. We service children from the Rochester City School District that come and benefit from the program as well, and then we also serve as a resource for the community, other nonprofits, churches, and schools. But that's not our only focus. We also have adopted Roberto Clemente School Number 8 on St. Paul Street, and we have adopted them. We provide support for the faculty, the families, the teachers. We mentor. We're tutors. We also have a scholarship program through School Number 8 where we're sending kids to college. We're helping to support them financially. We mentor them through them starting in 5th grade all the way through college, and we're providing Rotarians have mentored them and worked with them, and we've introduced them and exposed them to community service because we believe strongly in community service, but we also have exposed them to many different things. We do college tours with them. We do fun things. They'll go to Seabury sometimes, and that's a fun activity. They certainly come out to Sunshine Camp and give back and volunteer and help us on our work days. Those are our main projects that we do, but we also do international projects as well. So we help support different international projects that are happening within the community too. We work with other Rotary clubs in our community and help support maybe one of their major initiatives, which might be, doing something in Guatemala or water, fresh water and digging wells and supporting things around the country.
Tell me more about that.
So we have a committee that's focused on international service.
Okay.
And they have monies that are raised through the events that we do, and they annually give monies back to different organizations. And right now, Hugs, Dr. Quatella, actually won our Rotary Award. Yeah. And we so much were impressed with what he was doing with his Hugs organization that we are supporting them and writing a grant working with our district to help provide medical equipment that is needed to do the surgeries for cleft palates that they're doing around the world.
And you have an exchange program too, right?
We sure do. Don is really intimate with the exchange program, knows very well.
Rotary Exchange works, and a lot of clubs will have a student that they want to send to another country, so they go out to Italy, to Spain, to Australia, and at the same time, we have students from those countries coming to our clubs here. They'll spend their senior year in high school in our communities, and they will, have a chance to understand our culture. They always come to the television station.
Of course.
All of them. The whole busload comes at least once, and we get a chance to talk about media. What's it like in your country, where you're from, and what it's like here. They gain so much from that, and the friendships they gain are lifelong friendships. They have 3 host families, so they don't get attached to one family for a whole year. They know they're going to spend 3 months with each of 3 different families during that year. So it's a great exposure, a great chance for them to really build world fellowship, and as we like to say in Rotary, build world peace and understanding for years to come.
Well, with that, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to be right back after this. Well, welcome back. We're here with Mr. Don Alhart, fan favorite, and Tracey Driesbach, who is the executive director of the Rochester Rotary Club. You still call it a club?
Yep.
Okay, still call it a club. And we were talking before the show about all the great things that the Rotary Club does. And one of the things, and I'll turn it over to you, Don, is that it's the 100-year anniversary of the Sunshine Camp.
Yeah, our Rochester Rotary Club 100 years ago, the members were meeting and wanted to, at that time, help a pediatric hospital and work with children that had special challenges. And Easter Seals was a part of it way back then as well. And they really began with a house, which evolved into a camp down at Durand-Eastman Beach. I don't have the exact quote, but the club president that year said, we are going to dedicate this camp, and we're going to call it the Sunshine Camp, unless someone can think of a better term. No one ever did, and no one ever needed to, because the sunshine that comes out of that camp, the illumination it brings on the lives of families who have a child with special needs are immeasurable. And that light is what really gives us the energy to keep going. Tracey can explain. Tracey began, she's our executive director now, but began, I'm not sure what your first job was at camp. Was it camp director?
I was program director.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, when you hear from her what it was like, I think probably in those first days, I'm sure it's that experience that kept her involved. Mm-hmm. It's that experience that led her to a leadership position because of the love of that camp.
It sure is.
Well, I'll say that I was fortunate enough a couple of weeks ago to have a tour that you gave Nita and I of the campus. And I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away about the facility itself. But there's the philosophy of what you do, not only for the child, but how it affects the family. Mm-hmm.
Correct. And
the physical attributes of the campus itself. So let's make two silos out of this. Sure. Okay, it's sort of like the why you're doing it, and the philosophy of it, and the physical attributes that you have that support that. How about that?
Sure. So the Sunshine Camp is a amazing and wonderful place. It serves children and adults with disabilities, and the camp is really designed to provide an opportunity for them to have no barriers to fun. Everything that's designed there is to meet the needs, can be adapted, is accessible for every person who wants to use whatever that activity be, whether it's archery or our climbing tower or other things that are available at the camp. But it not only, as you were talking about, not only affects the campers and the time that they have, whether they're there for the week experience, but it provides a respite for the families. And the families often have a lot of time, whether if you have a child with special needs, there's a lot of attention that needs to be provided to that child. So the camp allows the child to go and have the time of their life, but it allows the families, and many of the parents will write, we are able to recharge our batteries. It allows us to just have time to read a book, to go sit out on my patio, to just have quiet time, to go on vacation. And this sounds strange, but to go on vacation with the rest of our family that maybe my other children don't have the opportunity to have as much time and energy put on them, because the child with a disability maybe takes a lot more energy. And so the families use that as a time to reconnect.
That's exactly what I was talking about getting a tour with you, because it was, it's not an obvious thing.
No.
When you talk about a child with special needs, and you don't intuitively say, well, that affects the rest of the family and the rest of the children too, because of course they have to have more attention because they have more needs. But it also gives the family a respite and a little bit of a break, and that's got to be very valuable, I would think.
It absolutely is. We hear from families all the time, and Don, I know that you have people stop you and tell you all the time about what the camp means to them, and we invite families back to share that story, because I think everyone's story is a little different, but to hear what the camp means to their child, and also to know what it means to the family, it takes you back and it makes you proud of being able to provide this service for the community. And all these campers come free of charge. Rochester Rotary and our organizations, that all our fundraising events that we do, it goes back to support these families, and it goes to sending them to camp free of charge. And 2,500 kids and adults will come through every summer.
And inevitably, and this is our favorite part, whenever we hear from a parent, the stories almost always are the same. We were very apprehensive. They've taken care of this child, and the first time they go to camp, they are afraid. Mm-hmm. And they drop the child off, and they go home, and they wait for the phone call, because they're sure they're going to get a call saying, come and pick your child up. They don't want to be here. And they wait, and they wait, and they wait a whole week. And they never get that call because the child immediately is with their peers. They are with others. My favorite story, I hope we have a moment just to share.
Oh, sure do. Go ahead.
It is my absolute favorite story. Tracey heard it. It was a father who came to our Rotary meeting one Tuesday. And the most emotional speaker I think I've ever heard. And he got up there and he said, I took my daughter's diabetic. There's a session for children with diabetes. My daughter's a diabetic. And we were petrified to let her be on her own for a week. We give her insulin shots every day. We know there's a nurse there. We know there's a staff. But we were scared. And we were waiting for that call. And the call never came. And the father finally said, we went at the end of camp and we picked her up, and she had had a wonderful week. And we went home. We sat around the dinner table. And when the dinner was over, as we always have done, I, as the father, got up and said, it is time now for your insulin shot. I will give you a shot. And she said, Dad, you don't have to do that anymore. They taught me at camp how to do it myself. And he is at this point in tears telling the story. But it really spoke to me that day. When you multiply that by every family, that's why we do what we do. Simple as that.
And there's got to be more stories like that you never hear of. Yeah. I mean, if there's one of those, there's got to be dozens of those.
Absolutely. And think about it, 100 years of stories.
Yeah,
and
right.
I think about that. And right now we're doing our Throwback Thursdays on our social media. We're putting pictures up from, I think the one that went up the other day was from 1954 of campers at Sunshine Camp then. Yeah. And just putting out there, do you know anybody? Please share your stories with us. And we're trying to collect all those stories as well. So if you're out there listening and you were affected by Sunshine Camp as a camper, a counselor, a family, go on to our sunshinecamp.org and tell us your story.
One of our past presidents, Matt Adams, had a challenge for all of us. He said, I know we sponsor this camp, and we want you as a Rotarian to go out and look at it. And we'll go out. We'll go out for carnival. We'll go out and take a look. He said, I'm challenging you to spend 24 hours there. Spend a whole day there. Mm-hmm. And I took him up on the challenge, and I went out to the camp, and I was assigned a young man named Flip Palizzi, who was probably, 10 years old at the time, and had cerebral palsy, and I had to help change his diapers. I had to help feed him because he didn't have the mobility. I lived with him for 24 hours. Flip is now a good friend. He is in the process of finally owning and being in his own home. I've watched that child grow to adulthood, still has needs, but he's a good friend, and his life is made better by the contacts he made over the years.
You know, I have this philosophy is that at some point in time, it's like a boat leaving the shore. A very small change in its direction can have a profound difference when you go across the ocean. And I think that's what you're talking about here is that it's a moment in time. Yeah. It's not that many days, but you don't know what that little bit of a change in course is going to make down the road. And with that, we are going to another break, and we're going to talk more about this great organization when we come back. Well, we're back. You're listening to the No Nonsense Roundtable. I'm Dom Genova, your host, and here with Mr. Don Alhart, who everybody knows who Don Alhart is. I don't have to go further than that. And Tracey Driesbach, who is the executive director of the Rochester Rotary. And anybody who listens to the show knows at the bottom of the hour, I like to say thank you to the Bob Johnson Auto Group, who sponsors this show and allows me to do what I do every Saturday. And they're a great place to buy a car or a truck or get a car or truck fixed. And we were talking about the Sunshine Campus, which the Rotary has been involved with for 100 years. I mean, that's just that's just absolutely amazing. 100 years, and I was fortunate enough a couple of weeks ago to get a tour of the facility, and Tracey took Nita and I building by building. And when you drive by the campus, if you happen to be around Rush and you drive by the campus, you go down the road and you look, and it looks like a building or two, and you really don't know what's there until you get this tour, and it just bowled us over what you guys have done there in the facility that you have and the services that you can provide because of that facility. So let's do a mental tour of the facility, and then when we make a YouTube out of this, we can put some pictures with that and let people actually see what it is, because it really was a revelation for me. But I'll let you go into it now.
Sure. So the Sunshine Camp is 157 acres, and we are so delighted. We have so many opportunities and programs to offer our campers that come out to camp. When you come into the main camp, you have our Wegman Lodge, which is our main dining hall. We have a music and drama program that happens there, and that's our main welcome center. That's where everybody gathers to have meals together. We sing, we laugh, we have fun. And then you come into the camp, and we have 6 cabins, and each cabin will sleep anywhere from 20 to 25 campers. And it's they have bathrooms in there and a lounge area, and each cabin has the name of the Iroquois Nation tribes, and so therefore we have Tuscarora and Onondaga and Oneida and Seneca and Cayuga. I'm trying to think which one I was missing. And
very good.
Yeah, so we have all those, but the campers take such great pride in their cabin name, and they come up with songs and they chant their cabin names. It's just so much fun. And so when you're then you come into camp, and we have a brand new Shirley's Playland that was built. It's a huge playground, completely accessible. It was built right before COVID in 2019, but it is a central gathering place for many of the campers in a free time area, maybe after dinner when they were kind of gathering before evening programs. We have an 18-hole miniature golf course. Again, like I said, everything's accessible from start to finish. We have elements in our golf course that go into the ground, and then they pop up so you can have obstacles while you're golfing, and then it goes into the ground so you can go through in a wheelchair. So you can actually go on to the next hole. We have the traditional campfire that you would see. We also have a state-of-the-art medical center. We have nurses that reside on site all summer long. And then we have our arts and crafts. We have a huge swimming pool, nearly an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Wow. It goes from 3 foot to 12 foot. And that, too, is accessible many different ways. We have a ramp and aquatic wheelchairs that we can transfer a child or an adult out of their regular wheelchair into this aquatic wheelchair and wheel them right into the pool. We have a hydraulic.
And let me just interrupt there.
Sure, no, go ahead.
But no, because as Tracey is describing these things, I remember conversations with campers. And I remember one young person who is in a wheelchair, has to be helped everything they do. And that first moment when we transfer them to a wheelchair that goes into the pool, they go down a ramp, and they come out of that wheelchair and they have mobility that they have nowhere else. Mm-hmm. They have a sense of freedom, they were describing to me, a sense of freedom that they don't get out of the water. They would stay in that pool as long as they could, because it is something they just can't experience anywhere else. And yes, you can go to a pool, but you can't get in and out as easily as you can in this one.
Right. Yeah. And that's absolutely the case. You see many of the campers, and they love it. That's the highlight of the day. Yeah. We have midday. We have open swim where the whole camp is in the pool at once, and it is fantastic. And you have
that's gonna be
it's great.
Wild.
It is wild. Yeah. The energy and the noise and the excitement. I often say, if you bring people out during free swim, you need to say nothing. No words need to be said. You just stand and you watch, and you understand. You understand why we do everything we do. You see the smiles, the joy, the laughter. It's an amazing time of day. So we go into many other activities that we have. We have a pavilion called Union Station that we do outdoor cooking, but it's also a great movie area, great rain day activities. We have a sensory building, which was built at the same time we built our treehouse. So we built 2 great additions to the camp at one time. And our sensory building is designed to meet the needs of children who have autism camp can be a really loud environment. Sometimes it's too loud for kids. So this sensory building allows them to self-treat. You kind of go into the building and do what you need to do. There's swings, there's ball pits, there's really cool fiber optic lights, there's climbers, there's the TV, and there has an aquarium that plays a fish aquarium on the TV. We have weighted blankets. Whatever is needed of the camper, it's air conditioned, it's a wonderful resource, and it allows those campers to calm, get what they need, and then reacclimate back into the camp environment.
One thing that impressed me about that is that you can actually change the lighting in the building to accommodate the child. And
You can.
tell me more about that.
So we can we have blinds, so you can make the room dark. If a child really does better and helps them sensory needs, need a dark space, we can put the blinds down to allow the room to be darker. We can put the blinds up and, put swings in and the fiber optic lights and create different visuals for someone who might need that. But the best part about that building is it's central in the middle of camp, and it has beautiful windows that look at all of the activities. And so what I love about that building and why that building was designed the way it is we don't want campers to go hang out there all day long. We want campers to go in there and get what they need, but they want them to see their friend Susie down at the splash park, and we want to go back, right? We want to get back out there. And that's exactly what it's done. It's right there so they can go get what they need and then reacclimate back into the camp. So they can go down to the splash park that we have that has all sorts of different dumping buckets and spray obstacles. We have a train, the Hakamo train. So when Hakamo came over and hosts their camp at our facility, we had them bring their train. It's completely accessible as well. You can put a wheelchair on one of the platforms of the train. We have a boating and fishing island. You go out to the pond, you fish on the island, but we have this brand new dock system that was bought right before COVID. Everything was seeming to happen right there. 2019 was a great year. We had lots of things that we're willing to offer and get ready for 2020. But we have this wonderful lift now. So our campers go out in paddle boats. And before we had a floating dock. Well, you had to try to transfer a camper below your feet into a boat out of a wheelchair, and it just wasn't the greatest situation. So we have now a jet ski lift that the paddle boats come up on. We raise the jet ski lift up. I bring a wheelchair right over to it, and I transfer a camper from right on a steady ground into their wheelchair out of the boats. It makes a world of difference.
Yeah. And you haven't mentioned, I don't think you've mentioned my favorite yet, which is the treehouse.
Oh, yeah, the treehouse and the climbing tower.
The climbing tower and a zip line.
We have a 300-foot zip line.
Okay,
you got
40 seconds to explain this. Go ahead.
All right, so we got a zip line, a climbing tower can go up 3 different ways. Straight wall, slightly inclined, and then we have a system that's a pulley system. You put a waist and chest harness on, and I can take a camper right out of their wheelchair up to the top of the tower so they can zoom down 300 feet off of the zip line. But not to be outdone by the treehouse that's sitting right next to it. That's 22 feet in the air. It is magical. It is an absolute magical building.
You have to see this treehouse. We have to put a picture of it, at least in the YouTube, because if Disney made a treehouse, this is what the treehouse would look like, and it's really outstanding. You're 40 feet off the ground, but you can get a wheelchair into it.
Oh, absolutely.
So you're experiencing all these things without having quite the struggles that you would normally have.
And you'll be pleased to know Anita has signed you up for the zip line.
That's right.
So whenever you're out there.
Yeah, she knows me better than that. And with that, we're going to go to another break, and we'll be right back after that. Well, welcome back to the No Nonsense Roundtable. We're here today with Mr. Don Alhart. Well, everybody knows who you are, so I'm not going to explain anything more than that. And Tracey Driesbach, who is the executive director of the Rochester Rotary. And we were probably maybe 3/4 of the way into describing what the Sunshine Campus is like. So let's continue with this. And I'm not going on the zip line, Don. I don't care. I don't care what you. This is for the record. No, this is for no.
She signed you up.
No, no, not a good idea. The insurance is all paid up, but we're not going to do that. So Tracey, go ahead.
Right. Some of the other fun things that we have to offer, I'll just highlight some. We have alpacas and chickens. We have an accessible archery. We have a tractor and trolley that has a lift on it so that we can get all the campers on and take them for tractor rides, and they have so much fun. They love that. There's so many different things to offer at the Sunshine Camp that we have a radio station. We have
oh really?
Yeah, down in our memorial building. They get to broadcast radio, and it's so much fun.
You could do your show out there.
Right.
Well, that's right up here because you had a radio station in your home when you were a boy, right? Like middle school. So this is the same thing, right?
Probably a little better than what I had.
Yeah, technology. Well, that does beg a question, though. As time goes on, certainly the care of people with special needs has changed. So, I mean, you can't have the same equipment and philosophy even in medical care, from 100 years ago. So it's got to be kind of hard to keep up with that stuff, no?
Yeah, sure. You're always looking at, you're always asking families what we can do better. We always are working with other organizations in the community who we partner with as well, finding out what resources are out there, what would they recommend. When we built our sensory building, I went to Mary Carriola, who is one of our partners, and said, if I'm building a sensory room, I know you have them. What do I need to have in this room, and what are my wish list items? So why am I going to reinvent the wheel when I can go over and find out someone who's using it and finding out what is the most successful items?
And that's something to point out too, because I think years ago when you talked about the Rotary Sunshine Camp, you talked about really serving young people with physical challenges. And Tracey can speak to, because she'll know all of them more than I will. We have partnerships now, and so that different families with children with different needs, whether it's muscular dystrophy, diabetes, and you can name all of them. The segments of the community we're able to address individually through different sessions really has expanded what we do.
Right. So that allows us to really, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, service the 2,500 individuals. So we partner with the city school district in a Reach for the Stars program where we really teach leadership, team building, and many of the children who have disabilities are all come out with those schools as well. And then we partner with agencies like Camp Joy, which is run through the Reformation Lutheran Church in Chestnut Street, and that's primarily adults. Diabetes Association, American Diabetes, does 2 one-week sessions. Camp Hakamo comes out, and they do 2 one-week sessions. Gilda's Club of Rochester is also coming out this year and doing a camp with their campers. EPI, which is used to be Epilepsy Prelude, they're coming out. They do an adult program with us. Heritage Christian Services is also there. They do an adult and a youth program. And we are CP Rochester, actually through their Sportsnet, is actually coming out, and they're going to do 4 one-week sessions with a small group of folks. So we're always adding more people to be part of our organization and to benefit from that. But if they can't come in the summer months, we also have great opportunities year-round for these organizations. So, your Finger Lakes DDSO or Holy Childhood or ARC, they'll all come use the Sunshine Camp as a retreat center in the off-season because they know it's accessible and it can meet all the needs of their clients that they're serving.
That was the one big key, because the original camp was built out of Durant. And so in 1973, 74, roughly, when we moved, because the Van Leer treatment plant was literally expanding and closing down what facility we had. There was nothing out there. So the beauty of it was, for us, every building, every cabin, everything that was done was built as an accessible building long before ADA, long before the laws that are in place now. So this really is a gem compared to a lot of buildings that have come that long of a time.
Yeah, it's got to be a work in process. Process. A sensory building probably was unheard of in 1945.
Right. Absolutely. And we just added the sensory building in 2015. It was something that was built based on the need we were seeing with campers. So we're always taking and assessing what can we do to make the experience a better experience for the campers. So we found that some of the kids we had to send home at night because it was just too stimulating for them. And they would go home overnight and come back the next day. Well, we don't want to send the kids home. We want them to stay. So we found setting up a sensory room. We started with a room, made all the difference in the world, just giving them the opportunity to move themselves out of the situation. And I often say for children with autism, if you and I walk into a room and it's too loud, we walk out, right? Yeah. Our senses are telling us it's too much, it's overstimulating for me, I walk out. Often that child doesn't have that ability to communicate that or know that that's what they need to do. So it just becomes too loud. And sometimes you get the behaviors, or you start seeing the reactions, or the rocking, or you start seeing other things happening. That's really because they can't really communicate to you what is needed. So now they know that they have this space at camp, so they know to go there. They know that, okay, I'm uncomfortable right now, I need to go. And we found that room allowed us to not have to send kids home. It was such a blessing. So we went from a room, and then we had a generous family who stepped up and made a donation to us to build this building. And what a difference it's made in the quality of camp.
So you're probably looking for donations?
Always. Always.
We thought you'd we thought you'd never ask.
Yeah. Well, I used to be a car dealer, so I mean, at some point you ask for the sale. So let's talk about it.
Right. So we have lots of different ways the community can support us, whether it's just making a direct donation. It costs us about $800 to send a kid to camp for a week. So certainly we would love to have someone sponsor kids and send them to camp, and they can certainly just go on our website and make a donation. But also we have lots of different activities and events that you can come to and be a part of and support. And I know we have our 100-year celebration that's happening on July 14th at the camp. It's our big carnival night. We got lots of fun things planned. There'll be a registration on our website, but we have other things coming up. Don, you can talk about our Nancy Lopez.
The one that's most excited when the president of the club this year, Scott Rasmussen, asked me to chair the 100th anniversary celebration. I said, well, let me give it some thought. And the first thought that came to my mind was the LPGA tournament that benefited both Camp Hackamore and Sunshine Camp at the time. And I remember Nancy Lopez and the love this community had and still has for her. And I remember one day in particular, it poured rain. A group of young adults from it was a Heritage Christian home, doesn't really matter, it was a group home, had come just to see Nancy Lopez. And play had stopped. It was raining. And I was talking to them, and I said, well, let me knock on the locker room door. Maybe I can get her to come out. I knocked on the door. She came out, spent the time with them. I wrote her a letter a few months back. I said, I'm knocking on the door again, Nancy. Would you come back? And she's coming back July 24th. It's open to the community. It's going to be a women's golf tournament, but it's not just golf. There's going to be a carnival in the afternoon for kids and picnics. So people can come out for a brunch. They can come out and watch. They can come out, the women play. They can be there with the family at the end of the day. And all of that will support our Sunshine Camp.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we're just about to have to end the show. So last words, each of you?
I just think it's one of the things I'm so excited about, to be part of an organization that has been around for 100 years serving children with special needs. It's an amazing accomplishment, and it is just an amazing place. So I encourage you, if you've never had the opportunity to come out to Sunshine Camp, please reach out, give us a call. We'd love to share what we have and what we offer the community.
Don?
I can remember as a child going out to the old Sunshine Camp with a paintbrush and my dad and painting one of the cabins. So I date back a good part of that 100 years in some respects. I guess I challenge the community, grab a paintbrush with me, whether it's a paintbrush in your wallet or your bank account. Grab that brush and help me paint a cabin and keep this going.
Well said, sir. Well said. And with that, thank you for coming in. God bless you for what you do. And give me the website address again.
It'll be sunshinecamp.org.
Okay. We'll see you next week on the No Nonsense Roundtable. Well, thanks for watching this YouTube. If you liked, please check like and share. We'll make more. This is Dom Genova saying have a great day.